So, life's lessons are so profound. I'm just going to say, when you have life give you lessons, God give you lessons that take you to the next level, they aren't little. They aren't little whispers. They're sometimes so big that they sometimes hit you. They're not meant to destroy you, but they're meant to shape you. This is Tony Wade, the Compassionate Investor, and I'm going to do a 5-part series on the lessons that I have learned that has transformed my life. And in this first episode, we're going to do the one that I feel that truly transformed me. And it's going to be talking specifically about when I ran the 2 homeless shelters in St. Louis and the lessons that I learned from that. So go ahead and get some pen and paper because I'm hoping I can share some nuggets that you can chew on. So let's jump right in. So many of you know during COVID, I actually ran 2 homeless shelters. And I can say, out of everything that I have learned, that was the most profound experience that I've ever had in my life. And I'm going to do my best to show you some of those lessons so that you can figure out how you can take what I'm sharing, learn from my mistakes, so that you can be a better person moving forward. But let me set the stage. So during COVID, they were looking for providers who knew how to run a shelter. And I actually have never ran a shelter before in my life. We had done housing, but we never ran a shelter. And they were looking for volunteers. And I was already working with local agencies dealing with ending homelessness. And someone said, are you interested? And I said, sure. Where can I step in and help? So when I stepped in, first of all, not having any knowledge, had never had a government contract, nothing. I just knew there was a group of us getting together, talking about how we could quickly come together to keep our unhoused community safe during COVID. So I jumped in from the ground running. And those of you who know who I am, like, you say something needs to be done, I'm getting it done. I'm going to figure it out and make sure that it can get done. So after running the shelter from 2019, I want to say, to 2021, we hit the ground running. We hired staff. We created programming. Like, I was working, feels like 24/7, covering shifts. Like, we did it all. And I can just say, in the lessons learned in that, on the positive side, we had a lot of things that, like, the learning curve was tremendous. The things I was able to put in, I was able to create training. We weren't in case management, but I created case management training. I created training for the residents. I was helping people move to where we could get them into housing. Like, I was creating on a nonstop basis, and we were literally creating as we were going. And during that time, there wasn't a lot of guidance. They didn't give you guidance. Nothing was really set in stone. We had a lot of providers who knew this space, but the one that I was working with, he was new in the space too, technically, had not done this. So he was basically, I was working under him, and in that space, we were literally just moving quickly, trying to move the ball down the road and get results for people. So on the positive side, we had a lot of wonderful things that were happening. I was getting trained in case management. I'm not a social worker, but I learned what was significant to helping people, and I had a heart for this space. So I was able to exercise in a space where I could really show my heart, and with no limitations, I was able to create, which I'm a creator. I love creating training. So we were able to create training for our staff. We were able to move people down a place where we were getting people housed. Like, it was a really positive experience until it wasn't. And I'll just say, lessons learned, because there was a lot I didn't know. Nobody prepared me. They didn't have training in place, training new providers coming in, training even the new providers coming in, training those who were contractors. There was no training during that time. So we were, pretty much on a shoestring trying to get her done. And lesson learned, I wish I had known more about contracting and knew what we were supposed to do, we weren't supposed to do, because those were the things that I can honestly say I knew nothing about. And I will take responsibility for not knowing, because I did not know. And obviously, when you're wanting information, if there's no information to collect, it's really hard to then push forward. So as I look back at that experience, because that was my toughest lesson that I had to learn, because it was in a space that I was fully unaware of and didn't have the knowledge to sort of back in. It was too late by that time. Things had happened. So I ran the shelter for about 2, 3 years. And after that, we were able to still train the staff that we had. That staff is still working in that space. I ended up giving everything up because I wanted to make sure that we could keep individuals housed and keep the program moving forward. But I know we had some great success too. We were actually the top performer as it relates to what we were able to do. We were brand new. So that's why when I look back at the experience and how much I loved it, that was the best lesson that you can get. Even though I lost everything, I learned so much, to the point now where I know what to look for from somebody who's giving me a contract. I know what to say, give me these things, so that I know how to run a contract. So there's gratitude in that space, because what I didn't know, I now know today. I now know how to successfully manage a contract financially and to show all the deliverables and the things that they were expecting, and to what they were knowing what they were supposed to give me on a month-to-month basis, so that we were compliant. So those lessons are invaluable, especially if you're wanting to get into the space. So now that I'm talking to my students who are interested in getting into contracting or creating an MOU with an agency, I can let them know these are the type of things that you need to know. So even though that was a tough lesson for me to take, and trust me, that lesson hurt, I'm able to take that and apply it to where I'm at today. And that was like significant. I would have not been able to successfully teach my students how to look for those things too, and to build those relationships with agencies, had I not gone through that experience. I can honestly say too, another lesson I had to learn in that experience was how to make sure I had a very close circle that was with me in that process. Even though I had a close circle of friends who were in the space, but I don't think I asked the right questions of that space. So when you're thinking about doing this work and you want to get close to people also who are doing this work, the sponge that you have to be is critical. You have to be a sponge of soaking up information and understanding the dynamics of this space, because it's definitely different, especially when you're dealing with also government. You're dealing with agencies who are also competing for grants. You've got people who you expect to work together, not against each other. And I have to say that was the hardest lesson when that happened, because that close knit of people that I had close to me, they all didn't stay. I might have one, maybe two that are left that I'm still close to, but it let me know truly the heart of people and how they feel about you and where their loyalties lie, if that makes sense. Being a new provider with no knowledge, I know that we can do better as far as helping new people coming in, so that we prepare them for what is to come. So I honestly can say now, looking back at it, they now have new provider training for people who are new coming in. They've got new things happening right now. So if that experience is what got us to where those things are now happening in that community, then that's worth it to me, even though I I had to endure that. I had to endure the pain of all of that. I can look back honestly and say I like to see where we are going now as a community toward helping truly end homelessness, and not make it all about individuals. And that's the part that I definitely learned from this experience. And then I will say probably the toughest lesson, because you want to believe that people get to know your heart and they get to know who you are. And through that experience, like I said, I only had like one or two people that really stuck by me through that. I find that that was tough for me to realize that people really, and I don't think it's in a spiteful way, but you see where your loyalties lie. And that was the part that was hard. The people who I thought I was really close to, I wasn't really close to. I might have been close. They weren't. It wasn't reciprocated. And that was hard because you want to believe and you want people to know your heart. You want people to know how much you love people and you love this work. And when that's not reciprocated or people now look at you differently from something that you had no control over, you really recognize where your loyalties lie. And I can say in that lesson, I had to recognize that I needed to just be true to myself and true to who I am. Do I make mistakes? Absolutely. We all make mistakes. And there needs to be a level of grace that is given to people who make mistakes. People never go, I don't believe that there are people who are just inherently wicked and inherently just want to do bad things. I want to believe the goodness in people. And that's the part, that's what I sort of resolve with now. I don't take it personally, even though I did take it personally at first that people were attacking me. I now look at it now as they really didn't know me. They didn't want it. They didn't take the time to know me, or where my loyalties were with them, they weren't reciprocated. And that's okay too. I can learn to love people from afar and keep moving forward and moving in the work that God is calling me to do. And I can honestly say, looking back at that shelter, we learned so much. And this is the one lesson I learned the most. And before I share that, if you've not subscribed yet to my channel, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and get the notifications, because I want you hearing my heart as I share this part of me, because the next episode is going to be absolutely amazing. But sometimes this last lesson I learned from losing the shelter, sometimes when you lose something and it ends, that's where it is to stop. And it's not to continue forward. And I fought that. I can honestly say when it happened, I was determined to not let people see me leave with my tail tucked. I guess that's pride, right? And I stood there. I stayed there probably 2 years too long. And that's what you're going to see on the next episode. I stayed too long. So hindsight 2020, when it ended, I got everything I needed when it ended. And I should have moved forward with where God was taking me. And I didn't. So in the next episode, you're going to hear why that thing truly was the biggest lesson I've ever had to do. And I hope this blessed you with something, a nugget. Share it in the comments. If it blessed you with something that you could take, go ahead and share that with me, because I'm here to share my heart so you guys can truly see who I am on a deeper level. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.